Tune in this week, episode 59. We have Charlotte Heyward-Wesley with the Heyward Foundation. She traded her Superwoman cape in for her Santa Claus hat. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Joe Ferrani, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is brought to you by Duro Cleaners, luxury laundry care, conveniently delivered to your door. Visit durocleaners.com, because life's better without laundry.
Alrighty, episode 59, Between Two Bridges, business owners.
Last year we were so new we didn't have a Christmas episode. We were just trying to get out of the house.
We were.
And tonight we have a guest here, Miss Charlotte Heyward-Wesley. She is the mother of Steelers tight end Connor Heyward, correct?
Yes, him. I know him. Yes, I do. Yes.
And some others.
But so we met, me and Charlotte met like 7 years ago through Craig's Closet. And just over the years kind of have talked, but I always thought that you would be a good fit for a podcast like we have because we talk about businesses. So here you are. So tell us a little bit about the beginning and we'll just kind of go through it.
Well, the beginning of the foundation happened in really 2016. We launched in 2015, but it was the latter part of 2015. Cameron actually wanted to become acclimated to being a player in the NFL before he started a foundation. Our family has always been one to give back. So he was doing a lot of community work for the Steelers prior to being in the community, prior to us starting the foundation. So it just kind of happened organically and it's kind of grown, and we just love giving back to the community that has always supported our family.
Yeah. Is it in their contract that they have to do community service?
It is, and not just with a team, but the NFL, rookies have to do a certain amount.
Yeah.
There are those that don't do it.
So they have to run laps or something?
There's things called fines.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But for the most part, everybody does it.
Yeah.
Because it feels good to give back.
Right.
And it takes your mind off the game, and it gets you connected to the NFL. To the community.
Yeah, because you're new to town. You don't really know where to go.
Exactly. But, so you're going to meet people, and I've always taught my sons, meet as many people as you can, because this is a short-lived profession,
right?
And you never know what connection you're going to need afterwards. So, yeah.
They might have had it in their contract, and then they met Charlotte, and they were like, well, we got Supermom here. We don't have to worry about it in their contract. They don't have an option.
They have no option.
What was your first job? Let's go into your history.
My first job.
Was it Giant Eagle?
No. Okay. So I was in high school at Peabody High School.
Okay.
And I was in DECA. Do you remember DECA?
No.
It was like distributive education, something. So you learned like business skills.
Right. Yeah.
But you could also, if you had enough credits, go work somewhere. So I went to high school till like 11 a.m. my senior year, and then I worked at Horns.
Oh, wow.
At Monroeville Mall.
Okay.
Yes,
One
that
of
was
iconic cornerstones of the Monroeville Mall.
Yes.
But so you were Pittsburgh born and raised, right? So
yes, from Highland Park.
Like to circle back a little bit.
By the zoo.
Yeah, so that's kind of crazy that, now that you're 35 and you're back in Pittsburgh again.
Right?
It's impressive. So
Yeah, it's neat that, you were born and raised in Pittsburgh. Cam was born here, right? Mm-hmm. And then full circle, both kids end up playing for the Steelers, and now you're all back here. It's just neat to see because so many times you see NFL players go all over the country. You know what I mean? Families get uprooted, and then you see Hard Knocks had was it? I don't even know who it was, but they're telling a guy he's getting traded.
Yeah,
he's got to uproot the whole family. And you think, when we watch the game and you think, oh, this person gets traded, you don't really put that together. Next week he's got a different uniform on. That's it. But he had to uproot his entire family and change his entire life, go find somewhere else into some other side of the country. And it's neat that Cam was able to come back to his hometown, which, he hadn't been here in a long time at that point. But
his grandparents lived here.
Yeah, okay. So he still has had roots here. And give back to his community and spend his entire career here. Never have to leave.
That's very rare. With free agency, yes.
Yeah. Very rare. Seems like it happens more with the Steelers.
Yes, until they decide
they're done.
We think we're done with you.
Yeah, they don't put up with much drama, I don't think. But
i.e. Franco Harris in a Seattle Seahawks jersey.
Wow, yeah.
But so you have the foundation, which obviously keeps you busy. You guys are doing a lot of different. You can't not go on and see something new all the time. But is that your full-time job at this point, or?
It is. I'm still a realtor. I've been a realtor since 2002. I'll get my license again here in Pennsylvania. But this has become my everyday, all day. I was at work on Monday until almost 9 o'clock, and Connor came by because he called me and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm at the office. I was packing bags and he showed up with his girlfriend and packed bags with me and then told me to go home."
That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's part of I thought when Cam won Walter Payton Man of the Year, I immediately thought about the people, and I mean, he gets it too. I mean, but you guys there's an office. When you say office, it's not like your living room. It's a full-blown, full-scale office, and people work there, and you have interns, and it takes a lot, and it didn't get started overnight. And I think that you were as much, and he says it, he'll admit it, right? He's the name. And every event that I've ever been to, he's the name. And so where does that, how does that look from the beginning to start that? You want to, do good, but you can't just.
Did he call you one day and was like, "Hey, Mom, I need you. I just started this thing. Can you run the day to day?" Or did you want to get involved? How did
I wanted to do the foundation first. Okay. But when they were little, we always gave back.
Yeah.
So with their dad playing in the NFL, we lived in different cities, but we were constant either in Pittsburgh or in Georgia.
Yeah.
And so in Georgia, I'd say we started when Cameron was about maybe 14 or 15, getting coats, and because I traveled so much, toiletries, and we'd make Ziploc bags with toiletries and bake cookies, and either on Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'd go out and find homeless people. And I said, we're not and the teachers, my friends, would bring blankets and coats to our house, and then we'd take them out on the holidays. And I'd say, we're not going to a homeless center because those people got in. So we're going on the street. Well, they'd be like, "Mom, we're not getting out of the car." And I was like, because we drive into the city of Atlanta. And I was like, "Oh, you're getting out of the car." "Yeah, you are. Right now. Let's go. These people are sleeping out here." So we'd take pillows, blankets, and give them a toiletry bag and some cookies. And so that started when they were young. So, and our house was always the house where their friends who were going through something or their parents were going through something, they stayed at my house. So we raised I've raised 10 to 20 kids at our house in Georgia. So.
Right, so you have 3 boys and then you adopted a child, right?
Megan.
Is Meg, okay.
Yep, there's Megan.
She has the same last name as my mother, so Megan Henderson.
Yes.
Yeah. So And all athletes, though.
All 4 of them are. Yeah, they were.
Were you the athlete?
I played tennis and soccer, and I played softball, but I liked baseball more. I was a real tomboy. I was going to Steeler games with my dad when I was 8 years old. Yeah.
That was a different vibe when you were 8 going to a Steeler game. There was guys that like had their work outfit on from the night before with their lunchbox with Iron Cities in them.
There's still some of those around.
Yeah, they're there. So like you get started, and then like what do you feel like was your first event that you were like, all right, we're real. This is real.
Our first when we first started, we used to do back to school events. That was like our first thing. And then that evolved into Blessings in a Backpack, like food on the weekends. And now we've made it our own program called Cam Sacking Hunger. So like now we just started providing just recently food for out in Clariton, because that area is really in need. It's like a food desert out there. So those kids, the elementary school kids, will get food on the weekends, those who want to participate in the program. But I would say our back to school events were our first like feet on the ground.
Funny how like things always tie together. So our last guest was a home builder that he grew up in Clariton. And you mentioned Clariton.
Yeah.
We used to play Clariton football, the Bears.
Okay.
So it's like
They were really good for at one point, right? They
well,
had,
we beat them, right?
We did.
oh, did you?
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, they became really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
After they went, they didn't lose for like 4 years or
Yeah.
5 years. Or something.
I think the weekend that we played them this year, Review played them this year, the combined score between varsity and junior high was 135-0.
Oh my gosh.
So
They had them right where they wanted them.
yeah, we were just about to pounce.
Wow.
It didn't go well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just there's so much like I don't even know what direction to take because there's so much that you guys do that's like I play one little part in that, and that started.
You play a huge part in that.
No. So
Yeah, you do.
We started doing the suits because we saw it at Sport Clips. I was sitting to get a Christmas haircut, and they were collecting suits, and they had a box in the corner, and I was just in business, so I bought my business in July, right? And then, so like we didn't have a ton of money to like do anything, but I was like, I want to be part of the community and like do something. So I was like, I could do this, and it worked out. But like, so now I have racks of suits to bring back to you now. It's like people are calling for pickups for suits I guess they saw the most recent post on Facebook.
Okay.
So they call and schedule a pickup. So we've got suits that we've picked up on delivery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's pretty
wow.
wild.
To donate.
Yeah, they're just like, hey,
great.
we seen that you did this, and
Wow.
yeah, so you gave us a bunch to get cleaned, and then we got a bunch coming in. So
And we request people to get them clean before they bring them to us.
yeah, that's fine. We'll pick them up.
You know, and many do, but then we have some people when people do clothing drives, that's when we get interesting things.
Yeah.
We get everybody's,
Crap.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's,
I'll say it.
Yeah, thanks.
well, I think what's funny is like to me, like a double-breasted pleated suit is so out of style, right? But the kids like love them.
Sometimes. So we have gone now that we'll say we don't want to take like the 3-button suit. We have some things that now we say we don't take because we want them to look good.
Right.
But they do love like bright colors.
Yeah.
They love bow ties. They love belts. Belts are something that leaves these high schools in their Craig's closets because kids can't afford a belt. People think they don't want to wear a belt,
Yeah.
but a belt, $25 belt, these kids are hungry, so.
When we were bringing our last load of stuff in, like this kid was like, how do I get a pair of those socks? And I was there because they were bright neon. And I was like, here's a pair of socks, man. And it like probably made that kid, you don't think about it until you say it there.
It's the little
like,
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like get really excited when I match 2 socks in the laundry. I'm like, I win a prize. Sarah's watching this. She's like, you don't fold laundry at home.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up kind of poor. I was on, like, my mom was on welfare. We had school lunches that you paid for, but weekends, we'd get allotments at the beginning of the month and WIC and all that, and then by the end of the month, you're hungry.
Yeah.
So a belt, if my pants didn't fit,
exactly. And we'll get calls from the different schools, and they'll say, "Do you have some more belts to bring?"
Yeah.
And people are buying new belts and dropping them off when they hear me talk about it, and it makes them feel good.
Yeah. Now, my wife bought me a second belt, and I was like, what is this? I'm 40 years old. I'm like, I got one belt. I flip it back and forth between black and brown.
But what's interesting, and I didn't know, Westinghouse High School, right? The Bulldogs are a great football team. Mm-hmm. Amazing coach. He shared with me, Coach Green shared with me, that he noticed how much smaller his young men were when they would go play, in the playoffs, right? Well, Pitt did a study and found out 96% of the kids were malnourished.
Yeah, I believe it.
So then they started this food program, and on average, they gained 17 pounds per young man.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
But that's why some of these kids we see are so thin and frail. It's because they can't afford the food, and the food they can afford, it's not good for them.
Yeah.
So, people take things for granted that many just don't have.
Yeah.
No one's problems are as big as your own problems.
Yeah.
But then when you look at like if I'm working late or I got something going on that I can't be home and I miss my kids, I'm like, there's a guy at war right now that hasn't seen his kids. There's a guy in outer space right now. They can't get home, and they just told him till the spring.
They can't get home. That's crazy.
And we're sitting in an airport, drinking Starbucks and eating a Hershey's candy bar, and we're like, "What do you mean an hour delay? This is ridiculous." So, and that's kind of lends to why I wanted someone like with your background here, because you've seen it all. I mean, you've seen going in and out of these schools isn't easy.
No.
No. So the Heyward Foundation does several different programs.
Yeah. A little too many.
But
it's never too many in my eyes.
It just spreads you thin. There's a lot going on.
It does.
So what all, can we go through some of them? I know we talked about Craig's Closet. We talked about the backpack. But what else does the foundation do? And then how did you decide what all you wanted to do?
Well, we always sit down and talk with our board and Cam about what is important to us. And there are some things, I'll bring to Cam, and he's like, "Mom, you're doing a little too much." And I'll say, "Okay." So it might not be a program, but I still go do something for somebody. But we have our scholarship, that we do with the Southeastern Brain Tumor Foundation. And that's in honor of Cam's dad, that we give $10,000 to, they do the selection process, the Southeastern Brain Tumor Foundation does. It could be a person with a tumor or a family member, so that gets that scholarship. So that's something that's very important to us. We support different foundations, like with pediatric cancer. We do a lot of other things. We have our Little Free Library program, so we put little free libraries around because literacy is very important to us.
You got to watch what you say, because you do so much. These people are going to see this, and they're going to be calling you like, "We didn't know you helped with this."
Yeah, there's some things I do that I don't tell.
Yeah.
Because I want to protect people's privacy as well.
Sure.
We've been known to help some people with tuition for some things, paying for some funerals. That was very unfortunate, and I would never want that family's business out there.
Yeah.
But it was something that was close to us and how their child died, and so we wanted to help in that aspect. So we like to surprise people with things and kind of slide in. And
Kind of like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's always the way I like it.
Yeah, too much is given, much is expected.
Yeah, right. You guys do a softball event every year. Mm-hmm. You guys do a golf outing now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys you used to have the gala event. I don't think you do like the.
Now the golf event has kind of taken
that
over.
place.
Yeah.
The cool one that I went to was the Cam's birthday bash.
We do that every year.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
We celebrate kids.
Yeah, they have
instead
birthday
of Cam.
parties and kids that they get a cupcake and like. It was cool to kind of watch it standing in the corner with Nikki, but it was cool to like take it all in. And we brought our kids and they saw Cam, I think, on an Edgar Schneider commercial, and they were like, we were at his birthday party. Yeah. They have no relation to understand that they're 5 and 7. They're not big Steeler like football fans right now. They have no understanding of so they just think it was like, we just went to this kid's birthday party.
In Cam's birthday party, like this year we had kids from the Caring Place.
Right.
Which is a place for grief support.
Yeah.
And so all those kids have lost a family member or somebody important to them. And it meant so much to them, but it meant more to us to see their joy. Yeah. And a lot of them have some really sad stories that they've lost a parent or a sibling. And that was just, it fills our hearts, you know, to play with them for hours, to give them we give them special bags full of different things, and then they get a specialized cupcake, and their parents come too. Yeah. So that's always, Yeah,
going through grief, anytime you take your mind off it for a second, you know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like an opportunity that you get there. That was really cool to kind of just watch that all. Because I kind of knew the background of why these kids were here and what they were doing, but like you couldn't tell it there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like for a kid, 8, 9 years old to get a second, because they're on their iPads a lot or doing things like they're taking their mind, but they were truly like just running amok and having a good time. So that was kind of cool. You guys do a hell of a lot. I mean,
we do.
You're sitting here thinking about things that you probably need to do.
Well, tomorrow, on Friday, we're doing a lunch for the parents of neonatal kids in intensive care at Children's Hospital. So we know that this holiday time is hard for them. And so we're going to cater a lunch for them, and so the parents can celebrate a little bit and take their minds off of, their little baby that's, in an incubator.
I told you happy thoughts. This is Christmas episode.
But we're going to bring some joy to them. So it's things that we try to do that people don't think about.
How many people are part of the foundation, would you say? You mentioned a board, but
that work there?
Yeah.
Oh.
150, 3,000.
That work at our foundation?
Yeah.
There's 3 and an intern.
Oh, all right.
Okay. We do everything.
Wow.
We do everything. And Cam comes.
Okay.
And, what I say about Cameron is when he's with the kids, and you've seen him, he'll spend quality time with each child at each event. He will stay late. He is very intentional about learning about them, about hearing what they're going through. But the day-to-day is run by 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's important. To the kids, they may not pick up on the difference, but the parents that are watching that interaction, whenever it's obvious that he's there, not just to show face or put his time in, but to actually make a difference and make an impact on somebody that's going through something that dire, that's important. As a parent to look at that, that's important.
It is. And Connor is, he was at the event with us last night at the stadium, and I forget, he just connects with kids really well. So they'd come, and we were handing out hygiene kits and chocolate bars, and Connor was like, "What's your name?" And he'd say, "Hi, well, I'm Connor." And he'd dap them up, and then he'd start asking them about themselves. So then this one little boy came, and Connor was like, "I remember you." And I'm like, how does he remember this little boy? And he was like, "I was at your school, and I remember what you said, and I have that video." And he had the video of the kid, and he said, "Your name is Stacy." And the young man was just like, because they had such a good time.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
but Connor really is really good at working with kids with special needs, and he's done that on his own since he was 8.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, because that's how he got out of class. So he'd finish his work, and he couldn't sit still.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Clark's class, and so the teacher said, okay, because he asked, can I go work with the kids in Mr. Clark's class?
Yeah.
And he did that since he was 8 years old all the way through high school.
He was like, if I do this, I get out of class and I keep my mom off my back.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a common trend here, and it's pointing to like the woman with the cape on the couch. She might have a hat on tonight, but it's so you have 2. We talked about 3 out of the 4, and then you had Corey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Corey was a basketball player, and he played at Georgia Tech.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And is he in Pittsburgh now too, or no?
He's back and forth. He works for DeWalt Tools.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I need some.
She said it right. Mm-hmm. We had an episode here where I said DeWalt.
Oh.
And these guys corrected me. So you said it right. So I guess I was wrong. Kudos to you. And
she would know.
There we go.
Yeah, she would know. Uh-huh. So that's a pretty unique gig.
Yeah.
I feel like I work for them sometimes. I have like a trailer full of their tools.
Oh, do you? Okay.
So
You wish you worked for them, then you wouldn't have to pay for all those tools.
yeah, so I got a notification on my Guardian. It said, like there was somebody in my driveway. So I just looked at it, and it was a DeWalt box. So now I'm like zooming in, like, what did she get me for
You
Christmas?
just said it again.
Well, that's how I say it. So I'm like, what is it? So I'm like zooming in to see what it is. And I'm like, I think I have everything. But like now I'm excited for Christmas. And we had a friend that was shipping stuff to our house for their new house.
It's not for you.
So it wasn't even for me.
Oh, wow. That's
Really
funny.
nice shop vac. But I got one of those.
Wow.
So, but
How much food were you making for these kids growing up? Because,
wow.
I mean, they're not exactly small.
No. And then they all 4 were athletes.
Yeah, and
So
you
they-
mentioned other kids at your house all the time, too. So
Always.
Did you have cows in Georgia? Chickens?
When
What do we-
Cameron was still home,
Yeah.
we went through like 4 or 5 gallons of milk a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Costco has always been my favorite place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Making big meals using the crock pot because I'd be working, so
Yeah.
I'd start something early and then running them all to their different practices. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And Megan ran track, played basketball and softball.
Right.
And yeah, it was a lot.
and it's changed a little bit. Like sports now, like for being parents are like they like just overdo it with sports. Like
They do.
baseball will be a season that never ends. So when you have multiple sports with multiple kids, multiple ages, it probably racked up the air miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's because they all played basketball too.
Okay.
And so they played at a high level. They played AAU basketball, but then they played for Nike teams or Adidas teams or Under Armour teams. And so we traveled a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah, you didn't just get to get in your car and drive to the rec. You had to like go to Sacramento.
We were in Vegas, we were in Texas, we were up here in Pennsylvania, we were everywhere. And Connor started at 8. Cameron didn't start playing sports till he was older
Yeah.
because of his asthma.
I ran into a gentleman that I think either coached or invested in an AAU team here in Pittsburgh. It was the AAU Jots.
Oh, Cameron played for the Jots.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. This gentleman's name was Rich Lane. He was
Okay.
a coach back in the day. But
Okay.
that's a whole world. Like I wasn't a basketball player. That's a whole world that like to understand that there's private money.
Yeah.
Like put it into
I've
these
seen
teams.
some things about that. Yeah.
It's a whole different underworld.
Can be competitive and
Yeah, I think that's what I was
kinds
like
of stuff.
talk about sports changing. That's why you take a kid that might be halfway decent in baseball and you're like, we're just going to throw all this money at him and hopefully he catches on one of these teams. Like name, image, and likeness has like changed everything.
It has.
So it's better to just keep doing good for people and see where the world takes you, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
How do people get involved? Can we donate clothes? Do we donate money? How do we? What
They
do we
can
do
donate
there?
funds. They
Money.
can donate. That's on our website.
Yeah.
They can donate clothes.
Time? Can they get,
Yes,
Yeah.
we love volunteers.
Yeah.
we just want people that want to help give back.
Yeah.
We're going to be putting more Craig's Closets in different high schools all around. We're trying to do one out in California.
Okay.
There's
We
a player.
do deliver.
To California.
We're putting one down at Washington High School. So we're spreading out outside the city now because we've done almost all the city schools. We have one Perry that we're doing in January, and we'll be done with all the Pittsburgh public schools.
Oh, wow.
And then we have them in some of the charter schools as well. So we're just spreading our wings, and we love when people come help us install a Craig's Closet.
It was kind of cool to see. I was there for the grand opening. It was at West Mifflin High School. And then where were we when they had the put all the stuff back that had all the dust that was on it?
Oh, Alderdice.
Alderdice.
Yes.
But I did that for 5 years before that. I never really understood the concept. So what it is they have a room full of clothes, and they can go to their guidance counselor at any time. It doesn't have to be, like their mother could have passed away, or they just need a suit to go to a job interview, and they can go to their guidance counselor and get a suit, which is...
And they look like clothing stores.
Yeah,
so it's not just a room full of clothes. We have like motivational posters up and accessories. There's a dressing room in there, so they don't take the clothes out. They have a dressing room. We have books on teach them how to tie a tie. We want them to feel comfortable. There's rugs in there. We try to make them cozy too, so that they go there and feel like this is a special place.
Right.
Yeah, it's really...
It took me some time, like literally I was just cleaning clothes and like didn't know what was I was like, I don't know how this works. And then when I saw it kind of set up, I was like, you wouldn't even think, like you do think you're walking into a Horns in the basement of a high school, like here we are.
Yeah.
So so you have what's the next thing? What's next?
I don't know. My goal, because there's some organizations that we're talking to that like they already are in high schools. My goal is to put a Craig's Closet in at least every state. And then, because I love Dress for Success for women.
Yeah.
But I feel when I see these young men put on a suit, it just changes them, the confidence they have. And it's amazing. Like our Suiting Up for Success event that we do, that has just grown and it's getting bigger, where we celebrate 3 men from each high school. And yeah.
Did you get all your nominations this year?
We've got almost all in, and we've added 2 new schools. So I think there's going to be almost 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time we were talking, you were telling the guy, you need to get your nominations in. Like, we need to get this ball rolling.
Yes, because the counselors nominate them. And it's not based on academics. It's not based on athletic ability. It's based on character and perseverance and just being good kids.
And now you're starting to see some of those kids that initially went through come out the other side. They're graduating. They have jobs. They're in the community. They're doing great things.
Yeah. We have some great kids. We just sent care packages out to, we sent 64 care packages to kids that are in college or trade schools or who have been through our Suiting Up for Success ambassadors, just full of stuff for them.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you start seeing the rewards. When you start seeing the kid that was shy, too shy to get a suit, gets a suit, puts a smile on his face, but then he goes and graduates college and is like being a productive member in society. That's something that'll make it feel like it's all worth it. But that's a long journey. I mean, it's a lot of late nights working for, getting it done. And that's, I think that, you see your son up there meeting the prince. That's kind of cool, but he couldn't have done it without you. I mean, am I allowed to say that?
Well, no. But it's cool. The accolades are okay, but those things go away.
Right.
Like you said, seeing young people who we've made a difference in their lives, and at first these young people think, okay, this is nice, whatever. But the fact that we keep reaching out, we stay in touch with them while they're in trade schools or while they're working, we help them network, we help them meet different people to do internships. We say, okay, if you don't like this job, what else would you like to do? They're shocked that we are still there. It's not a one-time meeting when they're a Suiting Up for Success ambassador.
Yeah.
They are now part of our family.
Part of the program.
And so it's kind of, I get text messages like from like 15 different young men that are like I'm still really, really close to. And they're like, Miss Charlotte, guess what happened to me today? And I'm like, what happened? You know?
Yeah.
But there's like 90 some.
Oh, wow.
But
That's how you get a Craig's Closet in 50 states. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself.
Well, I'm asking different football players. Like Alex Highsmith's dad is looking for a high school for me in North Carolina.
Okay.
Najee's mom, we're thinking we put one in his old high school. So that's what I'm going to use now because they'll maintain it. I'll go set it up, and then that high school, and they'll be the connection to that high school.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Once the initial setup started, it can be maintained. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do all the moms hang out? Do you guys go?
No.
Yeah.
I wish we were closer. When I was a wife, I was really involved as a NFL wife with the other wives. No. There's some organizations, but it's mostly people who are, their sons are, a lot of them are retired and they're in the same geographical area.
Okay.
Here, the guys live in different areas. There are some moms, like Najee's mom, Tiana, and I are friends. But it's hard.
Right.
You have to be really intentional, and we're all doing different things.
Yeah.
You know.
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
Streamline your life with Duro Cleaner's complete pickup and delivery service. From your doorstep to their state-of-the-art cleaning facility and back, all without you lifting a finger. You get time back in your day and fresh, ready-to-go clothes. And just wait, big things are coming soon to make your experience even better. Visit DuroCleaners.com because life's better without laundry.
Speaking of Najee's mom, you had her on your podcast. We haven't talked about your podcast, so you want to tell us the name of the podcast?
It's called It's Third and One, but it's on pause right now.
Yeah, we're going to
Any
bring it back.
producers out there, people can help me edit, then I'll
Paying attention back
start
there,
it again.
Yeah, so you had her on there, and that when you were talking like the human aspect of it, when you see like shows, like when you hear their story, it's like for him to be where he is today, and for her to be where she is today, and I think she had 5 kids, and like that's just, you know, I've had such a sheltered life, you know, and kudos to her. I mean, that was a great episode, and so how many episodes did you have before you paused?
I think I was at 10 or 11. I think 10.
You need to get a co-host.
Well, I have several people that want to be a co-host, and I would like that. I'd like to bounce things off because there's 2 different people, you know, asking questions. It took up so much of my time, and I was living like in Nebraska. I was living in Atlanta. I was moving around at that point.
Stuffing backpacks.
Yeah.
Running events.
But now I'm stationary here in Pittsburgh, so yeah.
That's what I accredit, like, with us getting the 59 episodes. Like, I think that there's been times where I'm like, I don't want to do this week. But, like, you got 2 guys that are there, that you got to be there. And then, like, there's days you probably, like, so you balance it out. So if you have a co-host that kind of helps.
I never think that. I love this.
What made you guys start it?
I approached Joey at a bar.
you were doing a little bit of a podcast.
Yeah, I had started a company a few years ago. I have a W-2 job. I'm trying to break out of that. So I started remodeling, and I'm about to buy my first investment property. But I was doing a local football show, just covering our old high school. And then started telling some local stories of just people that impressed me. And then met with Joe, and
Jerry had a podcast.
I did.
Okay.
It was similar to this, where I would sit down with business owners, but I had the same problem you did, is that I would spend, you know, an hour or 2 sitting with somebody, and then I would spend 20 hours editing it. And I'm also trying, you know, while running a business and raising a family, and it was one of those things that I just couldn't keep up, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. But then whenever Joe and Anthony approached me this time, I'm like, this sounds great, and I love the idea. I did it by myself before. I love the idea of having co-hosts because of the same thing. You can Not that we try to like rapid fire questions, but it helps to keep the conversation going. So I was happy with that. We all have different perspectives and different types of businesses and a lot to bring to the table. But I'm like, first thing I'm going to tell you, we need to find somebody else to edit it because if we want to make this last,
Job.
Yeah.
It
you
is.
got to have somebody else to do it. It's too
a
much.
big job.
Yeah.
So we've been highlighting local owners that we're impressed with or stories we just want to tell. And Joe said he knew you, so we figured with the holiday season coming up, it's all about giving back. And
Oh, thanks.
here you are.
Yeah, we wanted to highlight the foundation and
Thanks.
We've had some stressful owners on, and I was like, let's just get something like a little more.
We just try to
feel
bring
good
some
for the
joy.
year.
We try to bring joy. That's our goal.
Putting a
That's
smile
our
on someone's
goal.
face is priceless. I always like to feed people in my house also, like
Okay.
it's probably part of it is like we overcook for everything,
Okay.
overbuy for everything because you just want people to be happy. If you're bringing someone to your house, I think last year for Halloween we rented a cotton candy machine. Remember that whole
That was
spiel?
cool, yeah.
So, it's all about giving back, I guess, one way or another.
That makes sense. And that's like my podcast was about, or is. I'm going to speak in the present
Yeah,
tense.
we're bringing it back.
Like-
You heard it here first.
Just giving a different perspective of sports because everybody think athletes' lives are great or their parents, but there's so many different types of jobs in the sports world and how sports affect everyone. And to me in Pittsburgh, sports brings us together. We could have different political views. We could have different views on everything. But on Sunday, we're going to wear black and gold.
Right, and we still have different
You know.
views on that sometimes,
This
too.
is true. This is true. But we all come together for a common goal.
Right.
Even with the Pirates,
Wow.
who we need a whole revamp of the management.
yeah.
That's a whole sad story over there.
Yeah.
The Penguins.
But you're right. Even with the Pirates, that year that we went to the playoffs, this city
Embraced it.
embraced it.
Wow.
I mean, we were selling out stadium again, and all of a sudden it was like everything changed. Then they started losing again, and everybody's lost interest. But yeah, I mean, we all do come together. We may all disagree and argue over our team, but we all hate the Ravens. That's universal in the city.
This is true. And the Bengals.
Yeah, and the Bengals.
And the Browns.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
the sports definitely bring everybody together.
I just heard something recently, like Joey Porter Sr. was on an interview, and he said, I don't even eat food when I'm in Baltimore.
I saw that.
or
That was on Hard
Cincinnati."
Knocks.
He goes, there's no way they're not going to spit in my food. They know who I am.
Yeah.
So
He's like, I've never
funny.
eaten a meal, or he goes, they talk about the crabs in Maryland. He goes, I've never had crabs in Baltimore. Like, he's like, I've never eaten
Yeah.
on the road.
Wow.
That was on Hard
that's
Knocks.
funny.
That was on last week's episode of Hard Knocks.
It's fun that's the fun part about it. And we've been fortunate. We've been blessed with some really successful teams around here that keeps
Yeah.
people's interest. But it does usually rain on Monday after a Steeler loss on Sunday. It's like, it's weird how the whole town, when I had the retail store, like Steelers win on Sunday or Monday night, the next morning, everybody was like, hey, how you doing? Then the next day, if they were to lose, it was like, they didn't even want people that, and these are people that are lawyers, corporate lawyers,
Yeah.
and it's no matter how old you get, it still affects you. It's just part of your childhood, I guess.
And they impact local business. I mean, tremendously. Whether it's a bar or restaurant that's packed every Sunday, and then if the longer they last in the playoffs, the more money those guys make. But when I was in college, I worked at Circuit City. And
Circuit City.
Oh yeah,
Haven't heard that name in a
right next to
while.
Throwback.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right next to Horns.
Wait for to come from the back.
Yeah. But when we went to the playoffs, and I think I was there during one of the Super Bowls that we went to.
Would have had to been 06.
Yeah, that makes sense because I graduated in 07. So yeah, 06, and we were selling big screen TVs. They were just flying out because everybody's getting their big screen for the Super Bowl. And I mean, it impacts local business so much, more than I think anybody really realizes. Not to mention all my clients that complain
restaurants and
because Monday everybody calls off sick because they were up too late watching a football game.
True.
Yeah.
True.
But
Living in a city like New Orleans, though, where that was the only team for a long time was the Saints, if they lost, it was very interesting. Like, I didn't go out. Back then you wrote a check for things.
Yeah.
And because that was their only thing in New Orleans was the Saints. Now they have the Pelicans, right?
Pelicans, yeah.
But down there, and they haven't been historically very good. You know, every once in a while they'll have a great team.
I think that's why LSU is so popular down there.
Yeah.
Because they were winners. And
A lot of those college towns, that's why. There's no pro sports there.
What's your favorite city outside of Pittsburgh? You've obviously done some traveling.
To live?
Yeah, we'll say
we'll go one each, live and visit.
I love Hilton Head to visit.
All right.
That's like my peaceful
that's your
base
place.
there. It is, because it's so nice and quiet and dark. And but to live, I would say Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, living
Spent a
in
lot of
5
time
cities.
there. Yeah.
It was a great place to raise, my children there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gotten very crowded, though.
That's what I hear. The traffic's a nightmare.
It's not the Atlanta that we moved to in '95.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah, I've spent some time in a U-Haul truck in Atlanta.
Okay.
Just sitting like hours.
Right.
It was actually when Pitt played Georgia Tech in football, because the Pitt buses passed me up with a police escort while I was sitting in traffic for an accident, and I was almost like, "Hail to Pitt!" Just followed him, like, I'm part of this. Yeah. Want to see my ID, Pitt? Yeah.
So you were involved because of your husband and now the kids, and they both went to, so Cam went to Ohio State. Where'd Connor go? I forget.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Mm-hmm. So you've been around football towns, several football towns. Mm-hmm. Hopefully not to offend all the Pittsburghers listening to this right now. What's the best football town?
Oh, here.
Is it here?
Like, hands down.
That's in her DNA.
Yeah, I know.
But I would say, I really, because like in Atlanta, they don't know what it is to be like, I mean, they do have core fans there, but they're very fickle.
Right.
You know, it's a small group of core fans.
Yeah. Yeah, there's fanatics anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders have a great fan base too, and even the Cowgirls do. But, because some of my friends are Cowgirl fans.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, we travel. I mean, Dallas fans travel, Raiders fans travel, but not like Steeler fans.
Steeler fans.
No.
I remember watching the Raider game this year when we were in Vegas, and it looked like a home game. Mm-hmm. There were so many terrible towels there that it was hard to believe it wasn't in Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we went last year to the Vegas game. It was just crazy. I mean, and in football, college football, I mean, living in the Southeast, SEC football is fanatical because most of those people are more college fans than pro.
Yeah.
But when Cameron went to Ohio State, Ohio State fans travel. They are, that was amazing, that fan base.
Yeah, and you know what? There's Ohio State fans that are like through and through. Like I was at a gentleman's house dropping some stuff off and hanging some curtains, and he was like, "Do you want to see my Ohio State room?" And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know how to answer that.
Do I want to tell you I'm not an Ohio State fan right now? Because like
they don't care.
Charlotte, like I'm like Ohio State, like I'm doing the whatever you want to do. And he did. He had like a whole game room devoted. He was like, these are so and so's cleats and gloves and like just years and years of collection. And I'm like, that is some stuff.
They travel. They are diehards. And if I have a Ohio State shirt on, somebody says OH, and I'll go IO. I mean, it's just second nature.
You don't tell them you're a Michigan State fan?
It depends on when they were both in college. They're like, "Well, who do you root for?" I said, "Whoever's paying the tuition." So now I can be everybody's fan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's been a journey.
It
right?
is. Mm-hmm.
Part of it. It's. Do you have anything other than the foundation that you want to do before you settle off a little bit? Are you trying to settle down or no?
Oh, I always have ideas.
So you're involved with the Steelers, right? Do you help with do you do anything for that organization specifically? If not, we can just edit that part out.
We partner together on different things. Like they'll call me and say, "Hey, Blair, who runs community engagement, we're really close.
Yeah.
And she'll say, do you guys want to participate in this? And I'll say, sure. Like the Huddle for the Holidays, we've done it for 3 years at Acrisure Stadium. We've done the back to school event with the Steelers for several years. So we try to partner up with them on different things because that's a great football organization that does a lot in their city.
Right. Do you help with like the new moms? Like kind of like, do you guys get to meet with them maybe, like talk with them at all?
I do. DY, Daryl Young, that runs player, what is his role? Player personnel, I think. We'll find that out. We can edit that part there.
Yeah, we'll get
DY, he brings me in and I speak to the rookie parents every year just about the realities of the NFL and what their sons can expect, what they can expect, what it looks like when they're in training camp. Don't expect to get calls from them. They're getting installs all the time. You know, this is a job now. It's totally different than college. So I come and do a weekend with them.
Yeah, that's part of like, that's part of that reality that needs to be taught because it's a short-lived, like I listened to your Brooke Pryor podcast and she had that article, A Cup of Coffee, guys that have played one game in the NFL. And like, it's not all just game checks. I mean, there's that documentary Broke on ESPN with Leon, was it Leon Searcy from the Steelers? He took his last game check and bought a Hummer on his way home. Like, was just broke. But like, I think that whole thing was part of like, all right, we need to have some kind of onboarding for these guys when they get drafted to bring them into town and make them do charity work, but like also get them around people, been there, done that kind of people. Yeah. Because it's a different world.
He's the director of player development.
Okay.
So,
and he actually is, the NFL has really done a really good job about that position.
Right.
He brings somebody in every week for the rookies to speak to them about a variety of different topics. He had an actor come in and say, any of you interested in getting into acting, this is what it looks like. Yeah. Real estate, investing. He's had like a plethora of people who come and talk to his rookies. So he's doing a great job.
My business is accounting, so I have a finance background, and I always wondered what the NFL does, because you have these kids that a lot of them, like as you know, they've come from, zero. And a lot of them, were fortunate enough to be able to go to college because of their athletic ability, and they kept, and now all of a sudden they're in the NFL and some of them making millions and millions of dollars. How do you preserve that and keep these kids, their kids, from just losing their mind? And I always wondered, like, I hope they have somebody coming in and being like, hey, listen, before you cash that check, before you go buy that Ferrari, take a breath. Like,
well, what you're saying is so true, right? But now they're getting money in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a kid in Georgia who got an NIL, millions of dollars. He's a quarterback.
In high school.
High school.
They said that Shedeur Sanders might have to take a pay cut because of the rookie deal.
I mean, it's out of control. And you're breeding animosity on a team because certain players, depending upon their position, are getting paid more, right? These kids think that they've made it, and the percentage that actually goes to the next level is less than 2%. Yeah. And they think, well, I'm making this money in college. I really want to see a study 5 years from the NIL, the beginning of the NIL, to kids who are now probably out of college, what they're doing, how much money they have, and they become the breadwinner in college for their parents.
Right.
The pressure they're under, and then if they don't make it to the NFL.
Or what happens, they get hurt.
Yeah.
And there's no guaranteed contracts.
And these NIL deals can be pulled at any point.
Right. They're not guaranteed either.
They're not guaranteed. No.
So you go out and you blow a knee, you're done.
or they don't like you anymore, they don't think you're popular enough,
Right.
they can pull that deal from you.
And I always see, so many of these guys go into the NFL, they don't finish college. They go right into the draft. So they don't have a college degree. They're chasing that career. And for a lot of them, it works out. But if you get hurt, you don't have an education to fall back on. You don't have guaranteed money. And if it's a career-ending injury, which this year we've seen so many terrible injuries where guys are on the field and their legs are going the wrong direction, for God's sake. And
You're getting old, that's all. That's always been there. We're just getting old.
yeah, now that we're 40, it's like, oh God, that's, oh my God.
And we have like 30 different angles to see it now.
Oh, I know. But that always, like, I hope somebody is saying, hey, listen, put some of this aside because you don't know what's going to happen next week. And you need to make sure that you're set. Like, the money that they're making in a season,
They can
not
live off the
rookie.
interest.
yeah, not a rookie contract necessarily, but some of these guys are making millions and millions of dollars that you could live off the interest if you were smart about the money. But also $1 million today, if you're not smart about it, that could be gone quick,
It can.
and how often do you see, watch Hard Knocks, Lamar is pulling out in his Bentley SUV. It's probably a $600,000 SUV.
Well,
and-
Joe Burrow bought the Batmobile.
yeah, he bought the Batmobile. These guys
wow.
spend,
$3 million Batmobile.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah. So they spend
Quarterbacks are built different, though.
Silly
those,
money.
those contracts
Yeah,
are
those
built
different.
different.
They're always guaranteed.
that's guaranteed.
They're always guaranteed.
Yeah, but I always hope that, and I think that they do. Maybe you might be able to shed some light on that. But these rookies need to go through a finance class on how to keep that
Yeah,
money.
they do.
But they have a rookie symposium that they go to. They try, but with the influence of social media, how many of these kids listen? And if they don't have the parents behind them giving them guidance, but so many of these kids, they are the breadwinner for their families. And everybody has their hand out and your salary is publicized.
Yeah.
But they don't realize, take half of that away.
Fact.
Yeah. And then if you're living in 2 states,
Yeah,
right? And if you spread it out, I always say, take that salary and spread it out over 30 years,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And average that out. That's what it really looks like.
right.
I was talking with Clint Hurdle, speaking of the Pirates earlier, manager of the Pirates, and he said what gets guys in baseball in trouble is like the NFL, they had a 16-game season, and half the games are at home.
The taxes and
and
all
then
the
they
states.
figure out the taxes for the 8 other states. Well, baseball players have a 182-game season, and guys get traded mid-season. He said they could owe every state money, and they forget about half of those. And then 10 years from now, the government doesn't care that you forgot. So they're coming for millions. It's just
Baseball, that's a lot of accounting to do.
Yeah.
But they are, I think Philadelphia was the first city to ever start that back when my husband played. And now every city or state does that.
the game day
that they
check
play.
tax.
Yeah, because you have performed a job in their area.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that you hit it to like the genetic makeup, the background that you had, and you're just a all-around good person, so it helps your kids, but not everybody has that.
No, and like you said, the ones that have the parents that are helping them, but that's just it. And you mentioned the handouts. A lot of these kids that if they grew up with nothing, their parents had nothing. Their parents may not be any more financially equipped to handle this influx of cash. And then you end up with people, I'm sure,
Aunts and uncles.
and
neighbors.
cousins you've never talked to, that all of a sudden, hey, how you been?
Yeah.
And
They
then,
come out the woodwork.
I'm
Just give me
sure.
10 grand, I'm starting a business. And
then everybody you hire to do anything, as soon as they find out who you are, the bill goes up. I mean, people take advantage of situations. It's not right. So that's the one thing that always bothered me is like, these kids leave, they go right to the draft, they don't have a college education, they make millions of dollars, but then they get hurt and it's gone.
And they're transferring from school to school.
yeah.
So they're not building an allegiance. They're not learning how to be loyal. it's a whole different ball game now in collegiate sports.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they were in a rush to like try to appease the people that were saying these kids need to be paid. So they just kind of opened the gate. And I think after 5 years, hopefully they'll look at it and kind of restructure it.
Yeah, but at that point, can they put it back in the box?
No, I don't think so.
The NCAA know they made an error.
Yeah.
But they can't go back.
Yeah.
It's going to be
You can't
interesting.
Put
I've heard a few
back.
ways that they're going to try to rein it in, but it'll be interesting to see if they can.
Yeah. I mean, they did it with the college football playoff too. People like wanted it expanded, they expand it, and now it's expanded, so they'll just keep expanding it. You know, it's just, it's hard. It's easy to figure these problems out when you're on a podcast couch. We have all the answers. But it's a different world.
I don't have any of the answers. I just know that there's a problem. Like, I don't know what the solution to this NIL thing is.
Well, the first step is admitting that there's a problem.
There's definitely a problem. And I think you're going to see a bigger problem. Not only are these kids getting all this money that they're not equipped to handle, but what's going to happen to the schools like Pitt, where they don't have the money to compete with some of these bigger schools?
Well, like what kind of happened with Jordan Addison?
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was their everything, but USC could give him so much more.
Yep.
And he's a great player, great family, great kid, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that's a lot of the coaches that I know that coach at small schools say they will have a player, you know, it's a small school, small budget. They don't have a big recruiting budget. They don't have these big NIL deals, but they will have a gem of a kid. And then one of the bigger schools will see that kid that is so good, and then
one and done.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens at UNC.
That's what I was just going to say. UNC figured it out. They just hired Belichick.
I want to see how much that works out.
Yeah. I heard that his contract says that he can basically bounce at any point. And, you know, but I'm sure recruiting's going to go up, because I'm sure there's going to be kids that are going to be like, I want to go play for Coach Belichick. But if he doesn't stick around, that's, you know, I think it's likely that he's going to get grabbed by an NFL team. And is he going to stay, you know, loyal to UNC?
He
or
had
is
the
he
opportunity. He was interviewing with NFL teams, but he wanted a whole lot of control.
Yeah, he interviewed with Atlanta. And
he demanded that control in UNC, too.
And he got it.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And then Michael Vick got a head coaching job in college, too.
Did he?
Yeah, Michael Vick is a head coach at, like,
Norfolk State.
Norfolk State, yeah.
That's
now
where
you're
he's
starting
from.
to see these schools, and like now the NIL deal is now watering. Not to take anything away from any of the head coaches, but they're bringing in people. There's guys that have been a head coach and working towards that for 20 years that probably are really qualified for that job. But if you're going to bring somebody in like Bill Belichick or Michael Vick, you're going to bring that name in. That's going to bring kids in. So
I mean, Dion did it,
yeah.
And he went to Jackson State, which was a very small, you know, HBCU, turned it around, then went to, you know, Colorado. And then the coach he left is still doing well. And Jackson State had nothing. But got them a field, got them some things, but there's a lot of challenges there. It's just a different world,
yeah.
In the world of sports.
Changed.
Yeah.
I think it's just like the athletes are trying to level the field with the owners kind of thing. Like, just my
You
perspective.
will never, ever level the field with the owners.
100%.
I guess for your next steps, you mentioned real estate. How'd you get into that? And, yeah. You mentioned going back into it. So, I mean, you seem to be very busy. How are you going to pull this off?
I will always be a realtor because I love to help people.
All right.
I won't say cheap. I'm a coupon person, right? I love to save money. And so my kids are like that too.
You still clip coupons?
Not clip coupons, because we don't have those anymore.
There's an app for that.
But like I just always find a way to get something less expensive.
Yeah.
And taught my kids to do the same thing. Like Cameron drove his 2004 Tahoe his whole rookie year.
Nice.
And got teased. Like, you're a first round pick. Why aren't you driving a new car? He's like, because my mom's going to show me how to buy a car the right way.
Yeah.
And I did. And we went and looked at cars. And I said, never buy a new car. It's 20% is going to come off. So depreciate. So let's find a car that a salesman drove for 3,000 miles, up to 3,000 miles. And it's like a new car.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And he kept that car for 8 years. I mean, like, he's really good. He doesn't live on some big estate with all this stuff, what some of these people do, and then they can't afford it later. Yep. I mean, I think teaching them to respect money, because, like, I've seen a lot of my friends lose everything in their lives.
You've been around it for...
Yeah, and they've lost everything. And that just, I don't know. My mom said she thinks I was born in the Depression. But I would teach my kids, and, when they were little, they'd get gift cards. They'd go try to see as much as they could get with that gift card. Not just go buy some Jordans or something,
Yeah. It's a life skill. I mean,
I think Cam and Connor are fortunate that you have all the experience with that world. You were able to keep them grounded and be like, hey,
it's a job.
Don't do what those other guys are doing, because, I've seen that movie and it ain't good.
When I tell all the parents or even the rookies that this is a job, not a lifestyle.
Right.
But so many treat it like a lifestyle. And when you do that, you're just trying to keep up with the Joneses with the clothes, the jewelry, and that's not what this is. This is a job.
Yeah, both of your boys, like, you can tell they have different personalities, like all brothers and sisters do, but, like, both are very, very respectful. Like, every time you see them, like you said, like, interactions, like, I think at the golf outing, Connor was talking to someone, and I just, like, he was kind of goofing off with his buddies, and then a gentleman approached him, and, like, he probably thought
firm handshake.
Yeah, he probably thought you were on the porch watching him.
Remember something about everybody you talk to.
Yeah, and it was like, you can see it. And, like, I've never met their dad, but, like, it's your personality that comes through with them. It's so cool to watch. Like, you hope that, like, you can be that for your kids someday. Like.
So as a mom watching these games, are you nervous? Are you? Like last week, whenever Connor took one on the side of the head, did you want to, like, jump through the TV?
No, but I wanted to know the backstory, because there's always a backstory. So he shared the backstory with me, and I was like, all right, I understand.
He had it coming.
Jason was a little mad because he had cut block him. Yeah. He and Nolan Smith, and so that's going to happen. They're taking a risk every time they're out there.
100%.
So, but, I just am always, I say a prayer before every game and just ask for everybody on that field to be covered, not just my kids.
Right.
And I'm always just grateful that they are doing what they love for however long they get the opportunity, they got to do what they loved.
The older I get, it's harder to watch. I'm like, especially like kickoffs and punts, it's like, I don't know how anybody ever gets up.
I can't even watch them jump up for a ball and land on their back, or, like, just the thought of landing that hard on the ground and then just hopping back up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm hurting just watching that.
I've always worried about Cameron's asthma, though, because he almost died. I mean, he as a child had really bad asthma, and he still has asthma. But, some people don't understand that, and they're like, but he has played through it and gotten his lungs stronger and stronger. But there are times I'm like, he needs to come off the field.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes.
He needs to come off the field. But
so you said he didn't start playing until he was older because of that?
Yeah.
When did he start playing?
He started playing basketball when he was like 10 or 11, and he was huge. And then he started football because of basketball, because of one of his coaches was a football coach when he was 11 or 12. But Connor started I didn't let him start till he was 7. Yeah.
7 years old.
Yeah. And Corey started when he was 6.
We're just trying to get my 7-year-old to tie her shoes. That's where we're at in life right now.
Sports in Georgia is a whole different ball game. Yeah.
So it's funny. He comes to Pittsburgh to play for the Steelers, and the previous big guy that was famous in Pittsburgh was Jerome Bettis, also an asthma sufferer. So it's kind of. We had a couple of friends, and like you said, the one girl, she was young, 18. She passed away, and she wasn't running or anything. It was just one of those things. I guess people just think asthma inhaler, it is what it is, but
No.
at that level.
That's the one thing that I think we want to do, Cameron and I have talked about, is doing a breathmobile. And it would travel around and educate kids and their families about their triggers, about the quality of air, about the other things that are in your home. Because emergency rooms, asthma is like one of the main contributors to emergency room visits, especially in Allegheny County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see those days, like the Weather Channel will tell you like days
Air
that are,
quality.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you didn't have that when they were growing up. It wasn't like an advertised thing, but I mean,
What
the more you know.
What
Yeah.
do you think what's going on in Allegheny County that's so prevalent? What is
The air quality from, I think, the steel mills.
okay?
That's one thing. Also, I think people don't realize even if you smoke in a room, if you don't smoke near the person, it's in the couch, it's in the carpet. So smoking's a big contributor. Even cockroaches
Really?
are contribute. Like so many people don't know the different triggers that can set kids off. And I think the way, like we were lucky enough to go to a pediatric allergist in Atlanta that was an asthma allergist specialist. But nowadays you can't get to a specialist unless your, general practitioner refers you or your pediatrician refers you, and they don't do it because then they lose money, insurance money. Yeah. So a lot of these kids aren't getting the specialized attention. That's why we wanted the breathmobile to go around and inform and educate parents about how they can reduce these emergency room visits. We used to travel with a nebulizer with him.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's there's so much that people don't understand. Like, you could probably lay in bed at night and come up with 48 new things to do tomorrow for the foundation because it's.
I just want to make people's lives, just whatever information I can have or help, just to make their lives easier. Because a lot of people are struggling.
This is the longest I've ever seen you sit still.
I never sit still.
So,
This is really good for me. I never sit still. I never sit still.
You're always running around, even like when we're somewhere. It's like
You should see my truck outside. Like I have chocolate to deliver because we got a donation of like
too much chocolate.
like Billy Sarah sent us a pallet of chocolate, and we are handing it out all over the city to different nonprofits. I'm handing it out to homeless people. I'm like, I'm not giving you money, but I'm giving you chocolate. And they're like, thank you. I mean, we were at the Red Door. We took 4 boxes yesterday. We're going everywhere and delivering chocolate. So
It's awesome.
They say, you get back what you give. I don't think you can get it all back, but you do have a truck full of chocolate.
yeah. And you know what?
You know?
I will die with peace.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. So
I don't know. I love hearing these stories and hearing, and I like watching. We all get to watch the one game a week, right? But when I get to read about the different players and what they do for their communities and the foundation, and I've read all these things about the things that Aaron Donald has done for his community, and I like watching that. I like to see that they're the ones that are grounded and trying to give back. And
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of athletes that give back. There really is.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what the city of Pittsburgh looks like. Not just take the football out of it. If you take all the guys that have ever played for the Steelers, if you take their involvement in the community away from this community, Pittsburgh's vacant. I mean, truthfully, like, not what it is today. So it's years. I mean, like you said, I can remember like Dwight Stone coming to our elementary school to like talk to us as kids. Like, that's just something that and I hope that it happens everywhere, and I'm sure it does too at a scale, but I'd like to think that like we're the best at it, right?
Pittsburgh, the community, like I am so happy to be back full time because so many cities don't have community.
Right.
We have community here. And I think a lot of the players like that about Pittsburgh. I think Russ even likes that. It's a community here. It's not just a big city. I mean, we're a small city, big city.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's
Kinda.
unique where it's a big city, but it's made up of all these small little neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So you're not just this big metropolitan area. You've got Squirrel Hill and Edgewood and Highland Park, and you've got all these little tight-knit communities within the city.
Yeah, it's nothing to be out. Like if you're somewhere out and you run into like a Sidney Crosby, that doesn't happen in a lot of cities where you see a guy. They're just either shelled away because they don't want to go deal with it, or the city's so big. Like we were in Chicago over the summer, and we're just a suburb. Like Pittsburgh's like a small little area compared to like areas like that. So that's always been fun.
And we're not a big party city. Like, there's not a lot going on at night after a certain time here. So a lot of people don't like that, but I kind of like that. Yeah.
And if you're like our age and you want to do something past midnight, which you're not supposed to, you go to the South Side one time, you'll be like, never going back there again.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Because it's like these kids these days, man, they have no respect. I'm telling you. They just look how they're dressed out there in the public. I'm like, does your father know you're out of the house like this?
Yeah.
Time to go home. But so age is a virtue, right?
Yeah, right.
You got anything else you want to promote while you're here?
No.
No,
This was great.
No. I just, thanks for having me, guys. This was
Bring it
fun.
on.
Thank you
This
for
was
coming.
easy, fun, just talking, yeah.
Yes, you need a good team, right? So I see here Eileen Stewart and Nicole Williams. You want to touch on your team a little bit, and then we can wrap up?
They are both amazing.
Yeah.
And they are both very good at what they do.
Friends of yours, did you interview them? Like, how did they come on board?
I've known Nicole since she was 15.
Okay.
And we have a loving relationship, but we have a work relationship. And she also works in the dental field.
Okay.
But Nikki likes to work by herself.
All right.
And she likes to bring these clothes in. And I mean, she meticulously takes care of these clothes. She wants these young men to look good, so she accepts all our donations. And I mean, she really cares that what we send out is good quality for these young men. And so she runs the clothing donation part of the foundation. And Eileen is Irish and Italian.
Oh, that's a good mix.
With 5 brothers.
Oh, jeez.
So she knows everybody in the city, or her brothers do.
Right.
And she is our community engagement director, and she loves what she does, and she loves people. So she loves being out there, meeting new people, and bringing new opportunities, partnerships for us. And she really cares about the boys that we serve too, and installing our Craig's closets and working with the counselors. So they're both amazing, amazing women.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Got to shout out the team, right?
Yes.
Keep
They were at the Walter Payton Man of the Year with us too.
Yeah.
And that was special.
Need to be proud of that moment as a mom. It's got to be cool.
Yeah. And I was just so happy that they could be there, because people think we have this like huge staff and, you know, and our phones
That's
get
why I was
backed
shocked.
up
You said 3.
and our emails and I'm like, and we had another employee, but it's just hard, you know, because they have to believe in your vision. And I might work too hard. I will admit that. I will stay till 8 o'clock at night because I don't feel like it's work. I love being there. So I don't feel like it's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody doesn't share that.
Well, you're making a difference. You see
So-
it. You see it in the kids' faces. So if you got to stay a little late, you know that's on the back end of it. So
Yeah.
It was a pleasure meeting with you. I know you're a busy lady.
This was
if
fun.
you need help with the chocolate, I could help with
I actually
that.
have some chocolate to give to you guys. Yeah.
How can people get in touch with the Heyward Foundation to do donations? Do you have social media? Where can they?
We're on social media. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we have a website, theheywardhouse.org. And yeah, I mean,
Google.
yeah. Now, my phone gets full quick for the work because I'm doing so much I can't always check all my messages. That's why I need an assistant. I had one, but I need a new assistant.
New Year's
But we
resolution.
try. Yeah, I do. I have to give some of this off. So I like being on the ground.
Yeah.
I hate emails.
Well, that's why, like, I very, like, even if I have to, like, I'll text Miss Nikki first because I know that you're, like, got a million things going on. But then sometimes she'll be like, just text Charlotte. I'm like,
But I try to get right back to you.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate emails. I love texts.
Okay. Noted.
I love texts. Yeah, because then I can get it right then.
There you go.
Emails, you got to send paragraphs back. I'm like, I don't have time for this. Just text me.
Just get an AI assistant.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I like people. I tried to recruit a girl from Marshall's this week. I was like, oh, you are so, like, I love you. What do you do? She goes to Pitt. I was like, my business is closer than you coming out to North Hills. I was trying to recruit her.
That's the new job market, is find people that are really good working for someone else and then kind of try to poach them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a guy that was, he was cooking at Get-Go, and he was like, hey, man, you got this chicken. He goes, do you want, like, mild pepper rings? And I'm like, well, I didn't hit it on the screen. He goes, but I always put mild pepper. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, throw them on there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many hours a day do you work here? Like,
You see skills in certain people that, relate. And I think that's going to be, like, a good way to find someone.
hardworking people are going to make a lot of money over the next 10 to 20 years.
Is she going to take the job?
I don't know. I was
could've been
really
the
trying
best
to get
day.
her. I didn't have my business card, but I wrote all my information down. I said, look at our website. She was a Pitt student.
Yeah.
And
You
I
should
was
have just gave her your phone
I
and like,
pay
here,
more
answer
than
this when it
Marshall's,
rings.
and I don't want your whole week. I'll work around your schedule. Our intern is amazing too, Xavier.
I met him. He's
amazing.
Does he do all your social media stuff, or you do that too?
No. Oh, no. That's hired out.
Okay.
Yeah, social media is run by Abby Blake, and she's amazing. We go over a calendar, and she handles all that good stuff. Yeah, I couldn't do that. Yeah. So,
All right. Well,
this was great.
This was great.
No, thank you guys.
We'll
Thank
do
you.
Thank you.
We got to shoot a wrap up thing real quick. It's just like 30 seconds. I'll fire it off. What do I got to do here?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you got to end the episode
We're
first.
done with the thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.